Hey, first and foremost, before I get started, as always, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Waharakhakodash, which Yahweh, that's the name of the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, that's whom this world ignorantly calls JC, and the Rakhakodash, that is the Holy Spirit, and I would like to also give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutations to all you brothers out there. And I just want to do a quick lesson, that's based off of a statement that the Bishop Nathaniel from the IUIC, had made. And, he was recently, I believe it was a podcast, if I'm not mistaken. And, he was on that podcast, and he made a statement saying that basically we don't hate Edomites. We don't hate the so-called white man. We, but the Lord does, and, that's, that's not true. Okay. We do have and I'll say this, when you look up that word hate, it just means a strong dislike. Okay. And we do have a strong dislike for Edomites. And why is that? Because we uphold righteousness. You see? These people are clean contrary to us. Okay? They love wickedness. Okay? So there's always going to be a clash between us and the Edomites. Okay? That's just facts. Hey, the Lord set that up. And let me get that scripture real quick. And I believe it's Sirach, the 33rd chapter. It talks about how what? Good is set against evil. You see? The Lord has, two, separate things. And that proves that the Lord is all about balance, right? Hey, there's tall, there's short, hot, cold, You see? All right. So on as you got what? Light, dark, we can keep going on. That's just the way the Lord has set up things. The Lord has that yin and yang spirit. You see what I'm saying? All right. But let me get this. This is Sirach 33. And I'm actually going to start at 10. This is Sirach 33 and 10. And it reads here, and all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge the Lord had divided them and made their ways diverse. Talking about whom? The people. Okay? That's why nations are different. And this is why people, I'll say this, all nations can't get along with one another. It's not set up that way. The Lord didn't, have this, world to be, joining hand in hand. All right? But let me keep reading. It says, some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. Okay, and that's talking about the Israelites. Okay, hey, we're that the holy people, the chosen people. You see? All right, let me keep reading. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low and turned out of their place. That's really going into these Edomites. Hey, they're that cursed nation. They're the only nation that's not going to receive any type of mercy from the Lord. Okay? Eventually, once their judgment, comes, they're going to be exterminated. They're going to have to deal with 1,000 years of hardcore slavery, right? And then after that, they have to be exterminated according to the scriptures. You see? That's the Lord's, program for them. That's their role. That's their lot. For whatever reason. You see? Let me keep reading. This is verse 13. As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him to render to them as liken him best. All right. So the Lord is the one who set all this up. So don't be mad at me. Okay. Right. Hey, I'm just a messenger. If you got a problem with what we're saying, hey, take that up to Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Okay. And let's see how far that goes. All right, let's keep reading. Verse 14. Good is set against evil, and life against death. So the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. You see, good is set against evil. That's just the way the Lord has things, programmed in this world. So with that being said, yes, there is going to be a clash between us Israelites and the Edomites. Okay? And yes, we are going to hate them, which, like I stated earlier, all that means is having a very strong dislike for them. Yes, we have a dislike for the Edomites. Okay? Why would we love them? You know? Why would we be cool with them when they are against our ways? And really, it's the ways of our power. That makes no sense. I'm not going to be cool with, murders. I'm not going to be cool with pedophilia. I'm not going to be cool with drug, use, drug dealing. I'm not going to be cool with usury. So on and so forth. No, I'm not going to be cool with that. That's wicked. You see? And they hate things that are righteous. They hate equity. They hate, virtue. The perfect laws that the Lord has set up. Why do you think they change everything? Because they dislike what the Lord has set up. Because really what it is they don't want to deal with accountability. Okay? For their actions. They don't want to deal with judgment for their actions. That's why they're so contrary to Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai. You see? And that's why they're contrary to us. All right? Let me get this. And this, I'll say two things. One, Nate Satan, okay? Right? He's got, heavy demons on him. That's first and foremost. To even be stating these things, okay? And then secondly, I believe he just took the bag. That's my opinion. I don't have actual evidence and facts, but I highly believe that he took the bag. He got approached, by the elites, one of their, underlings, right? And they had a conversation with him, and he took the bag. That's my personal belief. Because this is insane to be making these statements. Mind you, he's been in the truth for, about 40 years? Like Apostle Tahar, give or take? He learned the same doctrine that the apostle had learned. Okay? Or the apostles have learned. This guy, he's just switching things up because something happened. Okay? You see? But let me get this. This is Psalms chapter 139. I'm going to start at 19. This is Psalms 139 and 19. Surely thou wilt slay the wicked, O Yahweh. And it says, depart from me therefore, ye bloody men. It says, for they speak against thee wickedly, and thy enemies take thy name in vain. And it says, do not I hate them, O Lord, that hate thee? Am I not I grieve with those that rise up against thee? Okay? And look, I'm going to keep reading. So, excuse me. Verse 22. I hate them with perfect hatred. I count them my enemies. So yes, we hate these Edomites. All right, for coming up against, our power. Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai first and foremost. Okay? And then secondly, they come up against us. Have these Edomites shown us any love? Okay? Last time I checked, they've been fighting with us since we've been in the womb, right? That's actually, let me backtrack. Actually, this has been going on since Adam and Eve. Okay? Because, hey, if we want to get on a deeper level, Esau was Cain, okay? And before that, they were the serpent, the wicked. Okay, so this has been going on since the beginning. So it started off with Adam and Eve and the serpent. Then it went to what? Cain and Abel, and we know what happened. Cain slew Abel, right? And then now you have this time period, Jacob and Esau, right? We've been fighting in the womb. This man tried to slay us because of the birthright. Then what? Wait, we were in Egypt. We left Egypt. The Exodus happened. Then what? Amalek attacked us. Come on, man. Then you fast forward it, to what? The Greeks. We were dealing with hardcore bondage from them, the Romans, to now, right? They enslaved us. They slaughtered us, raped us. Stole everything. To the point they actually they're the original identity thieves, right? They always talk about, identity theft. Well, Esau's the one that started all of it. They call themselves, the Jews now when they're really not. They don't go by, Amalek. They don't go by Esau. They took our identity and they, slapped us with these, bywords, right? We're blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, whatever, right? That's our new nationality and identity now. That's wicked. So yeah, we got hatred for these people, man. As they do us. And then even if, let me get that real quick. Let me get that Sirach 14. Even if this man seems like he's doing something good for you, at the end of the day, he's got, some type of ulterior motive behind it. You see? This is Sirach 14. And let me see where it's at. Give me 1 second. Yeah, let me get this. This is Sirach 14. I'll get straight to the point. 7. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly. And at the last, he will declare his wickedness. You see? Like I said, if he does something, so-called good for you, there's something behind it. Okay? There's more to it. And more than likely, it's him making money off of you. Him forwarding his, empire. His household. You see? Because the second you want to start, like, I'm going to use this for an example, right? A lot of the celebrities, right? A lot of our people, they're big superstars. They got all this money. But the second they want to, break off, start their own business, help the community outright that they grew up in, so on and so forth, Esau loses his marbles, okay? And next thing you know, this man will, completely, destroy what you're starting. Now all of a sudden, it's a smear campaign on your name. Look at Michael Jackson, for example. He was starting to, buy up, huge, music catalogs, right? He had, of course, his own music. He bought up the Beatles, catalog. He was starting to get too big. Then he started, speaking out against the JOOs, right? He started speaking out against the JOOs. Like listen to, some of his later, music. And you'll, hear him, speak on it. And then what came out shortly after? Oh, he was a pedophile. At that was it the Neverland Ranch, I believe that's what it was called. And it's funny because you had what's his name? Aaron Carter. Okay, I don't know if you guys remember him, but that's Nick Carter's little brother, and Nick Carter's from the Backstreet Boys. Okay, but they try to make Aaron Carter lie right? You know, his parents and, you know, whoever was, you know, behind the scenes, they try to make him lie and say that Michael Jackson was touching him and doing things. And then Nick Carter was like, or excuse me, Aaron Carter, you know, was like, nah, he didn't do anything. He was just, you know, playing games with us, hanging out. Nothing, you know, nothing funny happened. And really, what Michael Jackson was trying to do, it was protect the youth, right, from these Hollywood creeps and freaks. Because you know how they get down. They take these, you know, these children, and they do their, you know, their sick, disgusting rituals, you know, behind closed doors. So Michael Jackson was really trying to protect them from the industry, because you got to remember, Michael Jackson was in the industry when he was a child. So things probably happened to him, and he didn't want these things to keep going on, you know? All right? And that's just one example. You know, we could keep going on. Even with Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby was, man, he was trying to buy out somebody. I forgot who it was. It was one of these major, you know, network, you know, networks that's out here. And then next thing you know, all of a sudden, all these, you know, women, you know, come out of nowhere saying, oh yeah, he raped me. He was, you know, putting pills in my my drinks, and I was getting, you know, sexually assaulted. Mind you, this is 40 years later. Out of nowhere, you know, these women, you know, and then they were quite ugly, mind you. Okay, yeah, he's in his prime. He's going to be really going for these, you know, these ugly ghouls. Yeah, sure. That's real believable. Okay. And, you know, point being, though, is, yeah, 40 years later, now you guys are coming out, you know, testifying, saying that, you know, he did X, Y, Z things. Come on, man. Sloppy and tacky. You see? All right? Just sloppy and tacky. But let me get some more scriptures, you know. Just had to, you know, bring out some stuff real quick. Give me one second, because I'm doing an in transit. All right. This is the book of Sirach. Give me one moment. I'll get this precept real quick. This is, here we go. This is Sirach 17. I'm going to start at verse 25, though. It says, turn again to the Most High and turn, Salakia, excuse me. Return to the Lord and forsake thy sins. Make thy prayer before his face and offend less. Turn again to the Most High and turn away from iniquity. For he will lead thee out of darkness into the light of health. And hate thou abomination vehemently. Okay? So we're supposed to hate abominations vehemently. Okay? And guess what, man? I'll say this. Esau is just one big abomination. Okay? You know, remember, this is the man of sin. He upholds wickedness. All right? We're supposed to hate that, man, vehemently, with a passion, basically. Okay? You see? You're not supposed to love these Edomites. Doesn't the scriptures talk about how, as well, how we got the same mind of the Lord, right? Of Yahushua HaMashiach. And didn't Yahushua say that he's one with the Lord? Meaning that he has the same mindset? And there's a reason why I'm bringing all this up. Because didn't the Lord say in the book of Romans, the 9th chapter, and also the book of Malachi, the 1st chapter, what? That Jacob have I loved and Esau have I hated? That's what the scriptures say. So we got to have the same mindset as Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. So yes, we're going to hate these Edomites. Okay? Look at what they're, like I said, look at what they've done to us as a people. Look at what they've done even to the heathens. Okay, and I'll say this. The heathens are our property. So you're damaging our goods. Okay? So yes, I'm vexed when Esau, you know, slaughters these other nations. Now, of course, they're getting judgment, no doubt about it. But still, that's our property that you're destroying. Okay? Yeah, you're polluting their minds. So that's another thing too. All right? So yes, we got an issue with you, man. Okay? And see, we're not afraid to say it. We're going to let these Edomites know, hey, this is what it is, man. Okay? Then here's another thing too. They've destroyed the earth. Okay? The scriptures in Revelation say what? Destroy him that destroyeth the earth. Esau's got to get that payback, man. For what he's done. It's a must. And I'll say this, what's going to happen eventually with, the IUIC doctrine? They're going to say that Esau is going to be exempt from what's to come. That's what, because I'll say this, see, these guys, they got the same, blueprint. They start off with one thing, goes to another, right? And then eventually they all got the same breakdowns. They become Christians all over again. Hey, the parable is fulfilled. What? Hey, the dog returned back to his vomit. That's these guys, man. They return back to their bullshit. You see? That's what we're seeing right now. It's just, these guys are Hebrew Israelites, or I'll say it like this, they're Christians with a Hebrew Israelite twist. That's all this is. That's all this is. These are going to be the same guys that say, no, Esau's not going to be destroyed in the kingdom. He's just going to be an employee, right? You had one camp say that. What are we going to be doing? Joining hand in hand with these, these Edomites? That's madness. The scriptures talk about how, don't let him sit by thee, because he's going to try to overthrow thee, right? That's in the book of Sirach. You look, man, if these Edomites aren't in chains, they're going to try to overthrow us, which it'll never happen anyways, because we'll have spiritual powers. And that's just not, first and foremost, not according to the scriptures, what's going to happen to them, All right? No. See, hey, look, Nate is bugged out, man, and it's evident. I'll say this: it's becoming real clear who the real men of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai are. Okay, in these latter days, we're really seeing it. All these other camps are switching up their doctrine. They're all into all this folly, with family life, hanging out with one another, having concerts, whatever the case may be. The Lord is really showing who the real men of the Lord are. And that's why let's just say there is an IUIC member listening to this, get out of that organization ASAP. Because it's going to be your death trap. Very soon, too, because we're entering into, I'll say this, we're not even entering. We are in perilous times right now. We are at the start of Jacob's trouble. It's only going to intensify and amplify as time continues. Okay? That's it. That is just the truth. Okay? So, hey, you better get on board now before it's too late. The scriptures talk about what? Being that wise virgin. You don't want to be a foolish one. Look, you need that oil in order to basically light up your lamp. Okay? You see? All right, but I'm gonna end this lesson. I just wanted to, touch on this. It was, something that I saw recently. I just want to add my, my spiritual 2 cents to the situation. And hopefully whoever was listening was edified by this video. And with that, I'm going to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Shem Yahweh Shai. Also, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone.